Okay, hello everyone. I'm Irina. I am an AI and software developer at a startup in Edinburgh, but I am also one of the organizers for Code Your Future Scotland, a learning community for refugees. So first of all, we're a non-profit organization, but also an inclusive community helping refugees and asylum seekers with the dream of becoming a software developer and to find employment in the industry. So we offer volunteer-run 6-month training sessions where they learn web development technologies and also take part in soft skills training that prepares them for their first professional role. So it all started just a couple of years ago, actually, and it actually started in London, inspired by something quite similar from Amsterdam called Hack Your Future. And very soon after that, it started up in Glasgow and in Manchester, and we're taking over the world, basically, is what I'm saying. And I'm here to talk about it, first of all, because I believe it's important that we work together to make more inclusive learning communities. And I would like to take the opportunity to tell you how we went about building our own. And this is in the hopes that you too will feel empowered to create the communities that you want to see out there. So what is the context of what we do? I'm sure you're all aware that the world is facing a very serious crisis in terms of people that are displaced from their homes. And this is because of increasing political instability, economic inequality, and climate change disasters. There are 65.6 million displaced people and counting. And as climate change is getting worse, this isn't expected to slow down. And in the UK, there are about 15,000 asylum seekers that are granted status every year. So it's quite a significant country that receives refugees. And it's an important opportunity for us to see them as fellow humans and not shirk away from our responsibilities as we see them in the very gravest of circumstances. And instead, we can see it as an opportunity to think creatively and constructively how to solve this problem. And because we know that in the end, if other people are well, we all benefit. We all benefit from what they create and how they contribute. So the first question you might think is, why coding? It's a bit strange. Not exactly the kind of thing that you'd usually associate with the media's portrayal of refugees. And that's because we usually associate them with low skill, poor education, maybe extreme poverty, and that is the case sometimes, but it's often forgotten that a lot of people are displaced and they have qualifications, they've been through university, they've had jobs, but they find it difficult to adapt to the new country that received them. And so training is quite important for them to find their way in this new country, to figure out how the system works here and translate their skills and what they've learned to do, their experience, to opportunities here. And they also face lack of resources in their local communities. They don't have many opportunities for training, for reaching their full potential. And there's also just a general lack of understanding of migrant needs among the tech community, a misunderstanding of who they are. So it'd be quite good to even know more about them. One important thing about coding is that we all think of it as something quite accessible in terms of learning. We've all had that experience where we were quite surprised that we could just start picking something up by reading a tutorial online. And we often learn from each other socially. This is a really important part that we often forget, is that we just pick things up from each other. And it's also one of the most in-demand skills. There's not going to be a point where they'll go, wait, no, too many programmers, go back. We've already have all the products that we need. So it's a great opportunity to get some people who really love this to be in a community that kind of encourages them and gives them some pointers along their way. The other thing is that access to higher education is not usually regarded as necessary. How many people know others that have gone in to a professional web development job, who've just learned on their own, who have a good portfolio, who can show what they've done, and they don't need a certificate to show that. The other thing that I really want to mention is that diversity is something that's often discussed in the industry as a problem, but rarely as something that can offer great opportunities. Because right now, we might be blind to it, but we have a lot of systems and tech products that kind of perpetuate the problem and only show a very kind of Western perspective. So it'd be good to empower the people that are often neglected in our world to be able to build these products and tell us their perspective so that we can infuse it with them. Refugee training can help to address at least part of the problem of diversity in the tech industry. So our mission, I think you've already kind of glimpsed it, is to offer a pathway for refugees and asylum seekers to flourish. Probably one thing to mention that I didn't know before I joined about 2 years ago is that refugees are able to work and their status has been validated by the Home Office. Asylum seekers can't. So they're in a kind of limbo. And we underline and emphasize that we're for both because both are people that need support and that have great potential to be part of the community and work in these roles. We also believe in the importance of tech projects that have positive impact on people's lives. So we could also infuse that into our work. And we also care a lot about promoting diversity. So we feel like we not only represent refugees and asylum seekers, but we also work towards bridging the gap for people who are from other underrepresented communities, like the LGBT community, women, other ethnic minorities, and so on. I'll tell you later a bit about how we do that. So our approach, in short, you don't have to read all of that, is that it's volunteer-based. Everyone is just has a job and have a professional that they have to stick to, but they also offer their time, their knowledge to people who are very keen to learn. And we kind of put it into modules to keep it efficient. And the course it takes place in empty office buildings, donated laptops. It's very resource efficient. We don't have to worry too much about funds. It's very project driven. They work on very practical kind of work. And they benefit from, we covered their transportation, also childcare, which is very important for people's responsibilities, also childcare, to be able to take the time and learn. And we also adapt it so that it fits their schedule. So we have only weekend sessions where they can learn. So the rest of the time, they're usually in college doing English language courses and so on. So it's adapted to their schedule entirely. Again, you don't have to do that. I read that. I'm just going to tell you that basically how we work is that we focus on encouraging them to be independent learners. And that's possible because we teach them how we learned ourselves, which is a lot of Googling and tutorials. But we also tell them that if they need support, if they get lost, they can turn to us. So there's a lot of one-on-one work, pair programming, just pure mentorship that goes on, and that's the absolute core of it, is that we build a really good relationship with them so that they can turn to us when they don't know what to do. But we also do weekly sessions where they have a bulk of learning to do, all the way from HTML and CSS to React, React Native, Node, so much more in 6 months, which is amazing. And the training is adapted to non-native English speakers, and we always are open to feedback from our students to become even more accessible to them, because obviously there are different problems to do with language barriers, but we always struggle, we kind of try to adapt to it and improve it. So we really focus on them building projects for themselves because it feels good to own up to something that you built and they can show people. So I want to show you a couple of things that they built. And it's in connection with NGOs as well, which I think is really important. So the first one that they built is a Glasgow Welcome Pack. So it's for newly arrived asylum seekers to know the resources that are available in the city, to feel welcome in their communities. And I think it's really cool that it was built for refugees, by refugees. And I didn't get to show it, but it also has a neat quiz that teaches them Glaswegian slang, which I think is the best. I really should have put it in the slides. And another project that they had was a food mapping app. It was happily in a collaboration with Kinning Park Complex, which do great work with the migrant community, and they were doing like a food sustainability project, and they thought it was really cool if they could have an app of it. So we worked together with them, and I think this is really cool because, you know, on one side, you know, as migrants, I know as a migrant, I guess myself, is that you kind of live in two worlds, the place where you come from and your unique perspective as a migrant, but also the new community that you're in and the new identity that you form. So for me, it's really important that they have a chance to connect with their local community and kind of infuse that app with their perspective. So our graduates are doing really well now. That's one of their websites that two graduates built. It's Ali and Johannes in the audience, actually. And it's a really beautiful website. That's why I chose this particular one to show it to you. But they've been working on many more things that are equally wonderful. And they've ended up working for companies like Financial Times and startups like Turtle and We Got Pop and so on. So I can't even begin to say how proud I am of the progress that they've made, because I couldn't have done what they've done. I went to university. I had to spend years and years to learn how to code. They did it in 6 months, and I have to say that's pretty incredible. But you might think this is all great and good, but how exactly does this happen? How did this all come about? And there's a lot to it. But for me, it started with a Google search. So basically what happened was that I really wanted to do something about helping refugees, but I only know how to code. I'm not a doctor. I can't really do anything, or a lawyer. So I literally Googled Coding Refugees UK to figure out how I can volunteer in some way. And I didn't expect that to be successful, but look at me now. So what I found out is that someone had set it up in London, and I said, I want to set it up in Scotland. And I found out that Muzaffar was coming up to Scotland to do the same. So we all partnered up and made it happen. But it's the kind of thing, I think it might be the most successful Google search I've ever done. And as a software developer, that's something. So at first it started with one person, and then more people, and then more people, and more people. And I think it's a really valuable lesson, because I oftentimes feel kind of powerless to make things happen and feel like, oh, I really want to do something. But Muzaffar literally started by creating a meetup page and saying, hey, I have this cool idea. Do you want to get together and make this happen? And people were like, yeah, I think this should be a thing. So it's really amazing how from this one little act, it's not very exceptional, something quite incredible happened in people's lives. And I think there's some kind of lesson to that I'm sure you'll grasp. There's many more mentors than that. I didn't quite fit them. But we basically built this network of people all contributing in their own way and making this happen. And into our Scottish Code Your Future family. At first, we were only a couple of people. That's us celebrating Khalid's birthday, I think. And what was truly exceptional was that we became really close. And we just like spending time with each other. We usually hold our sessions all together for 7 intense hours with a break, teaching them all kinds of stuff. But a lot of time is actually spent one-on-one, and you know, that's where the true learning kind of happens. This was our first class, very, very small class, I think only 8 students and just about as many mentors, maybe a bit more. And that was in April 2017. Jesus Christ, I'm old. And we're having loads of fun, but soon we started growing, more mentors. This was the last class just before they graduated. Very happy. I think this was after graduation projects, so you were like, I'm done. So we're growing, and then this was the graduation. All happy and smiley because they're done now. They can go on to work. And this was our second class that we started in January. And double the size of students, about 15 students. We also, thankfully, doubled also the size of mentors, more than double. So we were able to handle that. And one thing that I'm really happy about is that we greatly increased the number of women that were able to join. one thing is just spreading the news about the fact that we do cover transportation, we do cover childcare. We work hard to bridge the kind of gaps or reduce the barriers that people have in being able to follow their dream. And one way that we do this is that we hold taster classes, and we hold some that are for everyone who is interested in learning how to code. And we also hold specific ones like women's taster classes, and I've also held taster classes for LGBT community at the Free Pride, which were really fun. So basically it was specific classes all about the fact that we really want people to try it out and see for themselves whether it's something that they would like to do, and then they get to apply to our class. We also hold meetups like I think ScotlandJS, and I always mix it up, and React Glasgow. This was really important, actually. We didn't realize how important it was that early on we set up these meetups, and basically we got loads of developers to come along, listen to tech stuff, and then somehow get coaxed into joining us for Code Your Future. Well, pretty useful. So it's interesting how it also fixed the perennial problem that meetups have with speakers, because our students were very happy to try out their presentation skills to improve them, so they would come to the meetups and do talks there. So it kind of solves two things at once, incredibly. There were also shadowing opportunities from companies, so our students got to see what a developer does all day. Mostly watches kitten GIFs, Google stuff, I don't know. But they said they had fun. It's one of their favorite things to do. They also got to go to hackathons. So that's them at the MongoDB conference, having loads of fun. Then we went to hackathon, won some prizes there. And then finally, even won first prize at Sally. Way to go. We couldn't have done this without the networks that we have, refugee and asylum seeker charities, that gave us the knowledge, the space to work in. Also companies donated money that then, all the money goes towards transportation and childcare, as I said. So they're really, really helpful in helping us along. So I guess the number one lesson is talk to people and build a network, because things happen somehow. So when I asked graduates a kind of takeaway message about Code Your Future, they're really nice messages, but one thing that I noticed that kept popping up that was very significant for me was the fact that they kept using the word family. Yeah, I did underline it, which was very important because that's how I felt. That's what all the mentors would say, but it was really amazing to see it kind of echoed back from the students. The sense that we found a place where we feel kind of safe, where we feel like we can get advice, and someone will listen to us. More importantly than just a place to learn tech skills. So that's us at a Christmas party, having loads of fun after a couple of drinks. You can just really see it all in the picture, the fact that we're just very close-knit, and that was a really important part of making this happen. We didn't know each other, by the way. This was all Code Your Future. So this is my absolute favorite GIF, and you're allowed to steal it. Because this is two kids, one of them is the son of a student, one of the son of a mentor, dancing to Kaylee. And doing a much better job than any of us, by the way, because we did not know what we were doing. But it's absolutely beautiful, and I can already imagine them coming to be Code Your Future mentors and everything. So in Glasgow, we say, because we're based in Glasgow, we say that people make Glasgow, but most importantly for Code Your Future, people will make Code Your Future. So we realize how important it is that we invest in those people and that they feel safe and happy, like they have a home. And for me, it was really important to see something like that happen, where people came together, saw some good people doing important work, having good impact on people's lives, and that is just infectious. So I believe that it's important to just send the message out there that this kind of stuff can happen all the time. We just need to get together and make it happen. And now, as a final word, I have one of the graduates, Khaled, wanting to say a bit about his experience.
Thanks to everyone. My name is Khalid. I was one of the graduates. I want to emphasize about the bit of asylum seeker and refugees. Asylum seeker is when you seek asylum, so you are in the process. When you are in the process, you are not allowed to work, but you are allowed to study, but there is a catch. The catch is, to understand it, you have to close your eyes. Can someone close his eyes? Everyone. So imagine you are allowed to study, but you get only £5 a day. That's it. In Glasgow, transportation is for 50, so you end up with 50 pence for food. So either you study or you eat food. Now, Code Your Future was more than a family to me, because for someone whose English is not his first language, for someone who have no family, for someone who have no friends, nothing, came alone to the UK. My asylum claim was rejected in August. I remember I was having a very bad time. I literally cried a lot. Friday, the next day was Saturday, which was the Code Your Future thing. So I went to the class, everyone hugged me, everyone said, we are sorry about that. But they also said, don't worry, I needed that support, I needed that family. So it's not just a coding school, because there are so many coding schools, but we need a family, and that's what makes Code Your Future different. I'll give you another example about the family, and that's it. But the family thing, I remember when we started JavaScript, I looked to my best friend here. I was like, let's quit the course. It's too hard, and I'm not in the mood of studying. And he was like, yeah, let's quit it. So imagine you have, you hit with for loops, vars, arrays, and all of that in one day, in 7 hours. Probably you will quit coding. And then I remember Muzaffar came and he was like, just stick with it. If you don't like it, leave it. Leave the course, go to your home, sleep. But if you like it, it's a nice opportunity, don't waste it. That's the family part. If someone else who doesn't care about me, who doesn't care about us, will be like, Khaled, go home, you are useless, just go home, sleep. But I wanted someone to tell me, don't worry. I wanted someone to say to me, stick around, it will pay off. And eventually, last month, I got my asylum claim granted, which was really good. Now I can work, my hard work paid off, and everything was really nice. So, thanks to everyone. Please reach to us. Please, we need support as much as you can. Everyone is invited to help us. Thank you so much.